Well, it is, of course, Republic Day, and therefore time to think about the constitutional aspects of everything that happens in the country. The Republic Day is always the day when we should read the Constitution, read the preamble, and remind ourselves as to what the Republic is all about. And on that note, it's great to have joining us Mr. PDT Achary, former Lok Sabha Secretary General, who's always a good person to touch in with on how the Republic is doing. Mr. Achary, you see so much discussion, on social media, in the media in general about where India is headed, how does it fit in with the Constitution? What is your sense? Are we, so many Republic Days later, are we staying true to the letter and the spirit of the Constitution?
Well, the government in office is supposed to adhere to the Constitution in all its activities. And when the government felt that there was need to amend the Constitution, they have done it. And those amendments, if you look at those amendments, those amendments were very important, necessary for us to move ahead. Therefore, all the governments which were in office at different times in this country have really worked the Constitution well. And so when, just on the eve of the Republic Day, when we think about the Constitution and how it served us and all that, we must say that the Constitution has served us very well. And we have worked it. There might have been some aberrations in the past, but on the whole, during the past 74 years of our Republic, we have adhered to the constitutional provision, the Constitution. There is no dispute over that. Now, the question is what lies ahead? What is in store for us? Now, we are going to face an election maybe in a couple of months. And then a new government with a new mandate, etc. will come. So this keeps happening in our country. That is what our democracy wants, periodic mandate from the people and so on. So that is the thing. On the eve of the Republic Day, this is the thought which is uppermost on our mind. We are a constitutional democracy. Certainly, the Constitution will have to be adhered to in all our actions, because this is the basic fundamental governing document of this country.
So, one of the important things about the Constitution, one of the important things about Kesavan and Bharti is that, governments can come and governments can go, but India is a democracy which is governed by the Constitution. So when you hear people expressing concerns that, look, the basic nature of India and the basic nature of Indian democracy can change, is it easy to do that, or will you always come up against the basic structure doctrine which there is? And so there are certain things that perhaps can never be changed or cannot be changed very easily.
Well, you see, this is created by human beings, so naturally, it's not that it's totally immutable, that we can't say that this is a document which can never be changed and all that. So that depends upon the consensus. Tomorrow a different kind of political system comes up and they will have a different constitution and all that kind of thing, that can happen. It has happened in many parts of the world. Revolution takes place and a revolutionary government which comes into power, they frame another constitution. That kind of thing happened in the world. But here, the point I want to make is that Parliament has been given this power to amend the Constitution. And Parliament can amend any part of the Constitution, including the fundamental rights. Earlier, the Supreme Court had said you cannot amend the fundamental rights. But after Kesavan Bharati judgment of the Supreme Court, the position is clear. Parliament can amend any part of the Constitution, including the fundamental rights, but there is a rider. And that writer is that you cannot amend the basic structure of the Constitution. And the Supreme Court had, in a way, spelt out the aspects of the basic structure. What actually constitutes the basic structure?
But Ivan, so just on that point, I hear what you're saying. Look, certain things have been introduced by amendments, certain things can be changed by amendments. The entire question of socialism, secularism, for example, was introduced by an amendment. But let's say you were to ever have a situation where basic fundamental rights, the right to equality, the right to freedom of speech, the right to, elections, aren't these things that are very fundamental and basic to the structure of the Constitution and therefore can never be amended? So is that something which we should be confident about in this country?
Yes. So long as this Constitution is in force, there are certain things which cannot be amended, which cannot be changed. That is, for example, the Republican form of government, that cannot be changed. And the federalism, that cannot be changed. It's a part of the basic structure. Secularism is a part of the basic structure of the Constitution, which cannot be changed. You cannot, for example, bring into existence a theocratic state. You cannot convert India into a theocratic state with the existing Constitution. For that, you have to change the entire thing and throw the Constitution out the window.
I'm again coming back to the point you were making about fundamental rights. Why do you feel that it is possible, for example, for someone to do away with the right to free speech or the right to equality or the right to, the right to be able to get justice? I mean, these are some of the foundational, fundamental values of a democracy. And aren't they written in stone now? It can never be changed.
Well, so far as these rights are concerned, these are very fundamental. Which are enjoyed by citizens in a free country. Now, but these fundamental rights under our Constitution are subject to certain reasonable restrictions. It is not that these fundamental rights are absolute. These are subject to certain restrictions, which are called reasonable restrictions. And Parliament can make a law, the legislature can make a law curtailing some of the aspects of the freedom if they are reasonable. And what is reasonable and
that won't be considered a violation of the basic structure of the Constitution.
No. And what is reasonable and what is not reasonable will be decided by the court. It is they who will decide this issue.
Well, Mr. Achary, thank you so much for joining us. I think in Republic Day, it's always a good day to remind ourselves of the values of the Constitution, the freedoms, the rights, the liberties that we have given ourselves, and to pledge ourselves to upholding them at all times. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. It's always a pleasure.